on IGN Live at Comic-Con, presented by the all-new LGG4. I'm Damon, this is Eric, and it's time to talk about Arrow. Steven is obviously Oliver Queen.
Yes.
Yes. Felicity Smoke, and Winnie's a writer and producer on the show.
Yes. And you guys, you came off an ending of a season that was interesting because on a show where a lot of bad things happen, it was like, hey, Oliver and Felicity driving off into the sunset, all their problems are over.
We want to give you some hope so that we can crush it.
So what is going to happen, Steven, that's going to make him go, I got to turn this car around?
Well, but I know I don't turn the car around. We go, we vacation, we land in a spot that is not Starling City. We have established a nice, relatively domesticated life by Arrow standards.
Yeah.
And but there are problems in the city that, based on breaking news of recent days, most likely relate to a Mr. Damien Dark.
Yeah, that was your big reveal about a day or two ago.
Yep.
Damien Dark, the casting. Wendy, can you talk about bringing this guy in? We've had a lot of big villains on the show.
Yeah, no, we're very excited about Neil. It's somebody that we've had. He was kind of our first choice for casting Damien, and we really just wanted somebody who would bring a lot of gravitas and a lot of menace. We really wanted somebody who was going to be scary and could hold a candle to John Barrowman and Manu Bennett and the other, super big bads we've had on the show before.
Now, Emily, last season there was a lot of conflict, obviously, with Oliver and Felicity. They often were on the different sides of things, but then at the end they worked things out. Going, into the season, clearly at some point having to go back to Starling City after this happy time away. Are they, you think, more on the same page than they've ever been?
I think just because we had last season, it was a lot of push and pull, and they both had to trust each other, kind of going off into the sunset. You also have to have that mutual trust that, we're going to actually give this a real shot. And they've had the past 5 months to sort of do that in vacation. Now we're coming back, and we get to see them being a couple, working together as a couple, but also they've left something that occupied their lives so in such a large way that there's going to be this little bit of a void, and how are they filling that? And I think that's more of the question that brings them back around to color another shade into their lives,
right.
But now as a team.
And let's talk about the team, which has changed. There's been shifts, and people have come and gone in the team. Now we've got Thea costumed up, which kind of just happened at the end. How after all that's happened, what do you think is Oliver's viewpoint on that?
Well, he's at ease as he can be with Thea being speedy and being out there with the team, knowing what a dangerous, lethal world it can be.
Yeah.
But I do think personally that over the first few episodes of the season, certainly that I've read, Willa Holland's character and what she is going through was of most interest to me. I think it was really interesting, and it's something that was set up last season that the writers follow through on.
And Felicity and Ray ended on good terms, but then Ray didn't end on good terms.
Kind of turned to dust.
It would be. We can laugh about it if we didn't know that he had a show.
Guy's okay.
Sorry, Brandon.
We had him earlier, so we know that. But obviously, I would assume that we will see the reverberations of that, and how your character and everyone is sort of dealing with right now what seems to be a bad thing has happened.
Well, I feel like Felicity and Ray were going to try and be friends post their relationship, which would have been what will be awesome, and would have been a little rocky at first, but now it's just going to be even rockier because he's supposed to be dead and he's now alive.
It's hard to be friends.
Which we all know, but they don't.
Yep.
So Felicity's going to be a little bit of a shock, I think. But science is changing.
There's going to be a bit of a twist, but you're going to be the one that helps bring him back to the show. So it's going to be exciting.
Oh.
It's going to be a mystery.
Oh, there you go.
Well, that's not too big a spoiler, but
Apparently, Wendy's tired of dancing around that point of the day.
Episode 5.
Exactly. And she's fired. All right.
The flashbacks are a component of the show that I'm very curious, because we're getting closer and closer to the 5 years,
Yes.
So, for both Wendy and Steven, where are you going this year with the flashbacks? Where are you going to take them?
You really can't. I personally can't reveal anything about the flashbacks other than I anticipate and don't even know that one of the elements that Damien Dark is bringing to the show, which we've talked about today, is magic and mysticism, is something that I anticipate, based on the tenor of our show, Oliver will experience in the flashbacks this year. But the exciting part for me is that you're right, we are closing in on the beginning of our series, the first frames of our series. And there's definitely, relative to Oliver's physical appearance at the beginning of the series, there's a real head-scratching moment in one of the first flashbacks this year.
We actually have a question from one of our viewers on Twitter we can pull up here. This question comes from
Can we read it?
Chris, who asks, if Oliver could fight any villain in the DC universe, who would it be and why?
I would... Oh, jeez.
That's pretty good.
I don't know. That's a really good one. How about Felicity Smoke's dad?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, interesting.
I was fed that, by the way.
Well, should we do a follow-up there, Emily? Have you been given any information on this dad that then Oliver could maybe
Let's do
fight?
that. I haven't really. I'm hoping that he might come into place soon because we know that he somewhat exists.
He exists.
We just don't know in what capacity.
Yes. He does exist. He's going to be a part of this coming season. We are very hopeful. So that's as much as I can say
You
about
just
who
gotta
he
have
is.
story make it there. Like that's hard too.
No,
So
it's
many
actually,
things change.
we have a lot of ideas about how to bring him in. It's just a question of now that we have Damien and a couple other villains coming into play that will be announced later today, it's a question of finding where to put him.
Oh, are we announcing villains tonight in Hall H?
We might be
Oh.
announcing some
Hey, we
people.
have... I think Damien Dark was our big reveal this week. You just wait until tonight.
What? I think everyone should be paying
coming up
attention
soon.
tonight. Mysticism opens the door to Mr. John Constantine, a character that both you, Stephen, and Mark Guggenheim have said they'd love to bring in at the time when the show was kind of a little bit in limbo. Now the show is canceled, unfortunately, but do you think, Wendy, is there room for that?
We really want to do it. It's something we've been talking to DC about, and that it's just a question of certain political things, but also the actor schedule. So we're trying to work it out, but we don't know for 100% if it's going to happen.
Fingers
But
crossed.
we're really optimistic, and we would love to have him. It'd be very exciting.
That's really cool. I'd like that to happen as well. We got one little moment in the. I talked to you a bit in New York about this, Emily, but the fact that you got to rescue Oliver armored up. You're not going to be holding on to that armor because someone's going to need it.
Yes.
But would you like to see some, if not a costume, some sort of extension of her skills in a more physical manner?
So I've been debating this in my head for a while. I believe that Felicity does sit behind her computer and is a hero in her own way, and if she were to put on a suit and go elsewhere without having someone to take her place behind that screen that she does now in helping the team, where would that be coming from? I think that I sometimes jump to the idea of oh yeah, she'd be great. It's physical because I'm a very physical person, and then I think, well, she's not very coordinated. We can work on that. But also her love for computers and technology and being able to problem solve on that is something she really loves to do, and I wouldn't want to take that away from her. And I respect her for that. So I used to say yes, absolutely, and now I'm kind of like, well, I'm not so sure. I don't want to rip her away from something that she loves so dearly and that she's so good at and she keeps getting better at.
Yeah.
We're actually just about out of time, but before we go, Stephen, you recently played a character in another comic book universe.
With green as an important
yeah,
color.
that's true, that's true.
Looks
Yeah,
good on
anything you can tell us about playing Casey Jones?
That this is not, when people saw the photo, it's certainly not your father's or your younger selves, Casey Jones, but that's because we meet him at a very different time in his development. He is not the Casey Jones that a lot of comic book fans have come to know and love. He is a guy with a job that lives in New York and loves hockey, and things go awry. And when he goes through the normal methods of what someone would do when they're a law-abiding citizen, and he's met with laughter and scorn, so he decides to take things into his own hands.
Take some of those hockey skills.
That's right. By the way, if Oliver needs to do any new fighting this year, I would suggest a baseball bat or a hockey stick because I am now proficient.
Great. Let's write that in there.
Thank you so much.
I love that. He's a good, yeah.
Guys, thank you so much.
Canadian.
Arrow is back in October. Is there permanent dates?
Wednesday, October 7th at 8, 7 Central on the CW.
We'll definitely be watching. Thank you guys so
Well
much.
done.
Thank you.
We're almost done with day 3 here at Comic-Con, but stay tuned. We still have a little bit more to show you on IGN Live after this.